I decided to teach because I really want to make a difference in children's lives.
I know a lot of adults will say kids never know when they're ready.
Learners don't want our opinion.
I don't think a lot of learners take the subject seriously.
I was taught that sex gives you AIDS.
I knew that sex was a bad thing to do.
We grew up knowing it is taboo to talk about it.
We were a bit shy to hold each other's hand or to kiss each other.
A teacher needs to remember that this child needs support.
According to the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, suicide is the second leading and fastest growing cause of death amongst youth aged 15 to 24. Relational issues, drugs, peer pressure, and unplanned pregnancies have been cited as some of the factors driving the high suicide rate amongst our youth. I'm Dino Ranaga. Welcome to Breaking the Silence. Today we give educators an understanding of the precious learners have to live with every day. We also affirm learners with the knowledge and support they need for coping with their ever-increasing stress and anxiety. Joining us today is Nomveliso Mbanga, a teen coaching expert who is also known as a youth alchemist. She'll be watching the learners' discussion backstage with our panel of educators.
I am Lungile. My learners know me as Mrs. Buteles. I'm teaching LO in grade 9 at Exasale to secondary in Bromfisherville Phase 4.
I'm Dorothy Kambule, an educator from Muruta Tuto Primary School, teaching life orientation grade 7s.
I'm Bukelwa Kungu from Soweto, and I'm a teacher at Forte High School.
I like to teach life orientation because it shapes the lives of our learners.
I think life orientation is very important because it teaches learners about life, how to behave in life, how to handle stress, and many more.
It's one subject that looks at the child from a holistic point of view, not just academically. And so as a life orientation teacher, you try to address some of the needs that the child is experiencing and not just academically.
Today, our panel of learners are Anna, Elias, Thabo, Pumello, Tembelihle. Perfect. How's everyone?
Yeah, good.
You seem nervous. Are you nervous?
Yes. Yeah.
Don't be nervous. We're only going to have a conversation, a healthy one. I want you to trust me with your honest truth, and I'm going to trust you with my honest truth and my opinions, right? So today we're talking about sex and stress. What does that make you think?
It makes me think about sex, at the same time about the stress that you get from sex.
Okay, you get stressed from sex? You think so? Well, we'll talk about that in a bit. I found a video clip for us to watch. Let's take a look.
Ke nna Soelanggo, ke na le 20 years, ke na le bana ba babedi. I was 16 years old when I started dating him. We met at school. Ne go le pressure ya go tswa go bagotsi. Ba tlhalosa re go sa tsenela taba ya thobalano. O tlo fetsa go gafa ka gore madi a tšhabela tlhogo. Ke ge ke decide go tsenela ka gare ga thobalano. Ene ba tlhalosa gore ge re ka robalana re tlo ratana go feta moo. Ke ntho e tlo dira gore re ratane go feta lerato le re no ka gare ga lona. Mara e fela nna ge be ba sa nkeletse gore bona ba ka gare ga di-protection tša mohuta ofe. Bagotsi ba ka bao ba ile ba nkeletša go tsena ka gare ga thobalano. Ba ile ba re ge ba lemoga gore ke mmeleng, ba ile ba thoma go nsega. Ba mpotša re ga ka hlalefa ke nna kgarebe ya mohuta mang ya go tsenela thobalano ntle le protection. O ile gano ba bothata ka gare ga pelo ya ka le gore ke be le bona close. Ka bona go bokaone gore nka ntšhampa. Mara se sengwe se ile sa tla monaganong gore go ntšhampa a se solution. Ka bona go le bothata go bolela le batho ba ka gae. So ka botša yona boyfriend yaga yana o ile a no gore ke no ikhipa o tlo no bona re dira bjang. Ka gae ba ile ba le problem e kgolo ge ba thoma go lemoga gore ke nna motho a ne go mmeleng. Ba no thoma gore ka o ne ke le se sekolo cause ke nna motho a ne go mmeleng ke tisenyetša nako ba dula ba omana every day. So ba no fetša ba amogela ka ya sekolong.
Do you understand what stress is?
Yes, I understand.
By definition, what do you understand what the word stress means to you?
Stress is the way our body react and our brains react when something upsets our normal balance in life.
Okay, that's very nice. That's actually very accurate and broad. I love the way you articulated it.
I think stress ucabanga into a1 isikhathi eside like inkinga mawune inkinga. Ucabanga ngazo most of the time. Awucabanga ama solutions ukusolve inkinga zakho.
Bringing us back to your point of sex and stress. So you say when you think of sex, it makes you think of stress. The stress that you get from sex. What sort of stress is it that you're talking about?
Teenagers tend to use sex as a tool of being accepted from their peers. And the stress that they get, they can't focus on their studies because of sex. By the sex, bafuna ukuchaza abangani babo. And akusinte right leyo.
Peer pressure ifakela ni stress. Mawubhekile.
Yes,
yeah.
It does. It can make you do things that you were not planning to do. And that way you put more pressure and less stress because you want to impress your friends and like the people around you.
Friends can build you sometimes and friends can destroy you. That is why this girl got herself in the situation where she can't handle anymore because she wanted to impress her friend.
Most of the learners, they engage in sexual activity because of the pressure they get from their peers. And they feel as if they don't do sex, they are left out or they are seen as the idiots.
They're experiencing a lot of confusion, you know, because they're in that stage of adolescence where there's a lot of physical development that also influences their emotional and social, you know, development. So I think that's where it comes from.
What are the stresses that you have in your life?
Kushota ubaba empilweni yami. Mina ngistressa ukuthi nje kushota ubaba kuphela.
Uphi babakho?
Washona ngisasemncane and there is nothing I can do. Hlala nomama kuphela.
Do you share the same stress?
No.
Not really. What stresses you in your life right now?
Usisi wami usiqedile isikolo. Ubhuti wami usiqedile isikolo. So nami nganda pressure ukuthi yabo nami ngisicede isikolo ukuze ngifane nabo ngibe successful in life.
The pressures from home, everything, every person, grade 12, grade 12, grade. So you also want to get that grade 12.
Father figure yaga enkhodiseng, I just found out hore as papa ka manete, ne. And then that thing it caused stresses in chimo plombaga. I even dropped out of school. No, like not like out of school, but then the max taka di bilenda ko class. Yeah. And then the other thing enkwatiseng gore mama ka wa khona bua le nna ka dio tse ding, ne. But then this one azanga pulela le nna like the whole lot 16 years. Like I was angry at her. Or like how can she do something like this? I pulled the stunt ka lady chomi ka lo jive. Ne. Then coming back from that malmaga atla ko school. Then balna le na mafatse ba bua le nna. If something like this, sira hala mo life in your house. Oscar did the snacks. Yeah.
Try. Try. Push up. Push up, I'll be fine. Okay.
To know the real father late in life is very, very painful.
I felt so sad for her. It is important to tell the truth to our kids at an early age.
Isipeseng naso si deep esabazali bami.
Yeah.
Abazona baya bahlukana ngekazalwa. According to mina ngifila ngathi yes abangiplananga vele ukuthi ngibe khona emhlabeni. Ngifila ngathi bayangivalela entweni eziningi yabo. Sometimes ngiyamdinga umama okay ngithi and ungenza ukuthi ngibe ne-anger towards yena. Like ungenza akayenzi la njabulele ukuthi yabo no mama and so ingenza ukuthi ngibe ne-anger towards umama and ingenza ukuthi mangicabanga like ngingamfeel nje as umama.
Nami sinokungiphatha stress.
And then when esakho stress usolve kanjani?
Like mina mangiphethe stress ngiyakhona ukuzicontrola khona ukuye ekamereni lami izikhiyele nginama-novel engiphiwe umenere esikolweni ngiyawafunda funde until ngize ngizumeke ngilale then mangivuka ngizobe ngikhohliwe ngale nto le bengistressa.
I think we also underestimate, these learners to say they don't know much. And why is it that they are stressed about family-related issues? Where do they fit in? How does it concern them, As adults, that's the approach we show. But we also need to then come back to say, how is this affecting the child? If the child is now taking these drastic measures that even affect their lives and in turn their future.
Ke tlogetse sekolo ka gore ka ima gape. Mama a tlhaloša gore a ka se kgona go dula le nna le bana ba itu ke sa šome ke ya sekolong. So a re ke tsamaye. O fihleletse mo lorego malome le mosadi wa bona ba decidile gore ba nlata ka ra lefelo le ke dula go lona ba tle ba dule le nna go fihlela le go njwana ke sa no dula le bona. Motho wa ka o gona go tlogela ke ne le ngwana wa botu nna le yena re a bolela mara a go sa tshwana le mathomong. Nka se re wa ba hlokomela ka gore ga atle it's like o ka re ga ba rate ga amogele situation ye re no ka re ga yona. It's like nka re nka no tetlema ka gwa ka gore ga ke phele selo ke phelela go hlaka fela ka ga lefase.
So, Siwela speaks of a myth that she heard amongst her friends that if you don't have sex, all this blood that you have in your body is going to rush to your head and then you're going to lose your mind. How intense are the pressures for you to get into having sex?
There are superstitions that people say, if you don't have sex, uzoba nenkani, uzoba nepower. Like,
uzoba nodlame.
Uzoba nedlame. Everywhere la ukhona, there will be a fight. Like something that's
angry.
That means you don't have sex.
Are there any other myths that you guys know of about sex? Yes.
That if you don't have sex, uzokwala ama pimple
on your face.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you believe the myths?
No. Sometimes it depends.
Okay, perfect.
Because kuna abantu vele na ubabona ukuthi this one never had sex in his life. So la khona nje na unenkani like nama pimples uyazama ama oil wathwathi mara there's no change. What does that mean?
But what if I'm having sex and I've got pimples and I've got a temper problem?
That's another story, you see.
But pimples are part of being an adolescent. So imagine how they're making the wrong links. They're making all the wrong links because if you're a teenager, your hormonal makeup is changing, so you will have pimples.
Yes.
So you will be moody, you will have, high energy.
Yes. Do you believe sex can relieve stress?
Yes, a lot.
Yes? You said yes?
No, I don't believe for sex it relieves stress. Sometimes, most of the time, it destroys my pillow about. Like, especially for generation yarena, for youth. Because fall pregnant,
risky sexual behavior, right?
So, and and then when now you but because of morata, you feel pressurized to and or pressurize again. So that's why sometimes you fall into trap. But personally, I don't think sex relieves stress.
So what we think could relieve stress can actually add stress. If you were to have sex without a condom, would you not be stressed tomorrow morning when you wake up?
I would be
stressed. Especially how long like maybe only sickness, like I did these things, then o tshwara mo o lesa mo o shaky o ba o tshwara ke stress o stress a lot.
Ukubona like ifamily under poverty, let's say maybe amantombazane maybe amaningi bonke lamantombazane awa end up with sex because of imali. Poverty now can lead to sex and stress.
I had one child this year who was admitted because of stress, because of poverty. I could find that this child has a problem talked to him and told me that because there are no food at home, I'm working for a drug lord and I'm also taking drugs so that I can forget about the problems at home.
So if you were in Suela's shoes, what would you have done?
Somehow lena we dirile, no.
Or we dirile?
Yeah. Onile le ngwana wa ntla, and that didn't teach her anything. O boetse gape a go bala le papa ngwana hae o la wa mathomo without even using protection. Ai ma hape.
I ke mo blame, but le ena nako nngwe nkebe a te nahanela cause nako nngwe ho nahanela motho pele before wena o inahanela eba problem cause o sala ka mathata o le one.
There is a curriculum, sexuality education. The learners are told first, the safest method is to abstain. But the curriculum is also continuing that if a person cannot abstain, that person must have at least one partner at a time, or that person must use a condom.
So what sort of advice do you give your friends when your friends come to you saying that they are stressed, they're going through this hardship, that hardship, emhlabeni kunzima nje?
Mina bengizomtshela chomi yami ngiyathanda mara ukuthi wena ulale without ukuse condom ubhedile lapho. Next time use a condom.
Firstly, as a girl, you need to be close to your mom. Ne? Because mama how ofitile ma stage in selong hore o mo sona wena. Ne? She'll explain things further than you understand from your friends. Ne? The way bablelang ka teng, you're not to explain.
Now, in the event that one doesn't have a healthy relationship with their mother, how else can, or where else can you go to seek positive advice outside of your friends?
Grab some teacher elong hore wa tlhalohanya, ne? And then wa bua le ena umtlhalosetsa situation na how.
Yeah. Are your teachers accessible at school?
Some of them.
Some of them.
Yes.
The ones that aren't accessible, what makes them to not be accessible? What is it about them?
Abanye bathisha babambele into le yabo 90s ukuthi hey mina angeke ngikhulume ngesex because ekhaya bebengangifundisi ngesex or esikolweni bebengasifundisi ngesex.
So how would you like your educators to support you at school when you're stressed and under pressure?
How bua le bona baska jaja. Instead ba advise wisely so. Abulena as motsadi asabulena as teacher.
And I could make advice today kusasa uyagiyekela because akazi ukuthi kusasa kuphetheleni. Kumele abhize akuchecka are you fine? Undlulile kulento so ungilalelile mangithi yabo understand kuzo zonke izinto ezenzakalayo.
On that note, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be chatting to our educators. We'll be right back.
Ke re batswadi a ba thege bana ba bona ka gare ga situation efe kapa efe ye bana ba bona ba hlakana go le yona ba serege bana ba hlakana le situation ya go tshwana le ke bile ga yona ba ka toga ba se ba shupe thego ba se ba eletse gore se se botse le se se be ke sefe.
We're joined now by our educators and our expert, Nomveliso, to extend the conversation, as we had said, with our learners. Stress and sex is a big deal in our children's lives. You were watching in the other room how we would assume that the biggest stress in their life right now is peer pressure and friends and sex and so forth. But it seems to be family-related issues. We've got mommy-daddy issues in our learners. Do they have support from you at school?
They do have support from us, but I think the foundation must be from home. As values and beliefs are started at home, we as teachers, we are building from the foundation of the parents.
So when parents are absent, how can the gaps be filled?
I think as teachers, we should know the background of learners. And then we'll be able to help.
Nomveliso, you were watching along with the educators. What were your thought processes listening in on the dialogue?
I thought of a lot of things, and I know I remember that a lot of issues that teenagers have are not their issues most of the time. In fact, when a parent says to me that my 14-year-old is acting up or my 15-year-old is acting up, I usually know that it's because there's something that happened within the family or within their own lives in the community that affects their behavior. Also, when a lot of changes happen within a family unit, a lot of children embody the different changes. And because in our communities or in our families, we don't know how to address important issues with kids. We assume that kids are kids and then they won't know or they won't feel any difference. For an example, when a child finds out that my father is actually not my biological father, the challenge is that how do I then manage my emotions around this issue? And also who do I talk to about this issue? Because if I talk to my mom, she's going to be angry, or they're going to assume or that I'm ungrateful about things that they do for me. So my thought was there almost has to be a conversation that we have also with parents that says it is okay to talk to your kids about changes in the family. And often teens run to sex as a way to numb the depression or stress that's happening within them because they don't know a better way of coping with their emotions.
I want to ask the educators, how do you support your learners at school? They're under pressure, they've got family issues, they're choosing the wrong friends, they fall under peer pressure and so forth.
I think it's also about, especially as LO teachers, creating that safe, space that where learners can be able to be free, to talk to you about issues, so that they can be open as well about what it is that they're going through, not coming from a place of, judging. We as teachers also need to come to their level.
I think they should also stop thinking that we are all the same. They should just stop comparing us with other good learners that are in school, and they should keep in mind that we are all different.
Okay. That's a fair, interesting take. So you prefer if your educators don't generalize? Yeah.
The reality is that a lot of our schools, Ekasi, in the villages, do not have social workers. That's the reality. They don't have psychologists. So in the absence of that, my thinking is that there has to be other forms of supporting learners and also supporting teachers as well, because it cannot be that we're going to wait up until we have all the structures in place before learners get support. So there almost needs to be a personal ethical code of sorts that says if a child comes to me, I must treat this with respect, for starters, and also with honor, because Lomdana umkhetile with the issues is like. So we need to create a community of support and then create a space of comfort for the learners.
I think we all have a responsibility, both educators, learners, parents. We have a responsibility to be empathetic towards one another and with one another. And I think empathy resolves a lot of things at the end of the day. It really does. Thank you so much, all of you, for your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Educators, refer learners for help, but remember to follow up. Take care of yourself so you can continue to take care of others. Parents, look out for warning signs of stress in your children. Learners, try to resolve whatever stresses you.
Equipping our youth with the support structures they need to deal with the everyday stresses they experience will give them coping strategies for later on in life. It's clear that parental support, coupled with approachable and trustworthy educators, will give our youth a better chance at conquering adversities. Tune in next week for another episode of Breaking the Silence.